What's going on, guys? It's your boy Kev here, back with another Prize Picks video. We're going to make this one short and sweet as always, especially for these Monday night, Thursday night, and I actually don't do the Sunday night showdown. So yeah, just Monday night and Thursday night showdowns. So let's get right into it, guys. Guys, if you're new to Prize Picks is essentially a sports betting platform where instead of just picking players, you are making your guesses on the over and under of the point projections of players. So tonight we have Josh Allen at 26 points. I would say whether I think he's going to do better or worse than that. You pair that 2, 3, 4, 5 times like a parlay. And yeah, obviously the more risk you do, the more reward you get. You can pair this with single stat entries and also do with other sports as well. MMA isn't on there yet, but I like to do it with MMA. Let's hop over to MLB so I can mispronounce a lot of these names. Alex Bregman. I don't think I can fuck that one up too bad. Bogarts, I know you're a Boston guy. So yeah, I can take, the over of 7.5 for Bogarts, and then I can go over and pair it with someone in the NFL. Pretty cool. If you do sign up, please use code DGF, obviously for Daily Grind Fantasy. It helps us out, helps you guys up. You'll get a deposit bonus where you can get a 100% match up to $100. Obviously, that's just free money, so why not do it? Absolutely love doing it. So let's get right into it, guys. Like I said, short and sweet. I'm going to go over the single stats first. I've been loving these lately. I know TJ and Matt as well. The single stats are really fun for football, in my opinion. So let's get right into it. And some of them are kind of funny because they're just like, Tom Brady over 1 rushing yard. And it's like, I know that's the one I said Thursday, and me and TJ talked about this. That was one of my biggest, most obvious ones. My favorite one was Tom Brady over 1.5 rushing yards, I think it was. 95% of bets on that night, this is a true stat, came in for that over of 1.5 rushing yards for Tom Brady. He had 3. He kneeled it, and then kneeled it again, and I think brought him down to 1. So he was 0.5 after the kneel. Everyone was frustrated. So if you did take that, you're in good company. Don't worry. 95% of bets were for the over of that, which is crazy. But yeah, let's look at some single stats here. I'm not going to touch the passing yards here. I just think they're too accurate for both the quarterbacks. Both have been over and under a bunch of times. Not going to touch that. Going over to the rushing yards, I like Josh Allen over 34.5. Titans have been bottom 10 in rushing yards per attempt allowed, so I definitely like that for Allen. Allen has cleared 34.5 rushing yards in 4 of his 5 games. This is a very high scoring game on paper. It's got a 53.5 over under, which is kind of bonkers. I think it could easily live up to the hype with all these offensive weapons that each team has. I definitely think 34.5 is fair for Josh Allen, and he should clear that. Another rushing one, obviously, is Derrick Henry. It's so funny, man. Prizepicks fucks with these lines every, 30 seconds, I swear, because I was over 93.5 when I wrote this. The last thing I think I wrote was the Derrick Henry over of 93.5 all of 5 minutes ago. Now it's 94.5. This is what Prizepicks does. They're trying to catch that. I'm sure a lot of people have been looking at this and been hammering on it. So 94.5 now, but I still agree with it. Obviously, that 1 yard's not going to change me too much. If it starts getting way higher, then it's different. But Derrick Henry, 93.5 yards, easy pick here. He's averaging over his last 4 games 145.5 yards a game, which is insane. And don't get me wrong, Bills have a very good run D, very tough against the run, but I think Derrick Henry, just knowing how they use him and how many touches he's going to get, over those 4 games, he's averaging more than 30 carries a game. You got to assume he clears this. It's just he is that offense. He's not a big part of that offense. He is that offense. The ball goes through him in any game script, even when they're down. Now, when they're down, they obviously have to throw a little bit more, but unlike other teams who usually abandon the run at that point, they still just understand that Henry is a downhill runner, and if this game is going to turn around, it's going to be because he beats the shit and gasses his defense out in the 3rd and 4th quarter. So the ball goes through him. So I think the wide receivers being healthy only help open up the box so they don't have to stack it as much. Yeah, Henry receiving, a little bit interesting too as I go over to the receiving yards here. That was one at 13.5 that kind of enticed me. I don't know if I want to put my stamp on this one yet or, say I definitely like this, but it's a little interesting seeing as he's cleared 13.5 receiving yards in 4 of the 5 games he's played. I was a year off. As you guys know, I talk about this all the time. I thought Derrick Henry was going to emerge last year as the number 1 back in fantasy because he's going to start catching balls and obviously he can run. I wasn't that far off. He broke 2K rushing yards, but he didn't catch any balls. So this year, it looks like he's actually starting to catch balls, so maybe 13.5. Don't hate it. That's probably going to be it for receiving yards for me. These are just too accurate. The ball gets spread a lot. Sanders has been doing great lately. Diggs historically great. A.J. Brown historically great, playing like shit. Julio Jones, hit or miss. Both have missed significant amounts of time already, so hard to judge. Knox has been great, more of a touchdown magnet. Singletary yielding a lot to Zach Moss. There's so much to unpack there, so I'm not going to touch that, and I'm not going to touch any of the receptions either. One of my favorite single stat here, I think maybe my favorite one would be, I was just looking through these. I really like Tannehill to throw a pick here at 0.5. I think he throws a pick here. I know it's not a team that throws the ball a ton, as we just talked about, but Bills are tied for second in the league with 9 picks, and I think the game script of this, I mean, Tannehill's still thrown 3 picks this year, I think, and just the game script of this, I think he's going to have to throw the ball. Whether they're up, behind, getting washed, they're going to have to throw. All game script, I mean, you can't just let off the gas with the Bills. They're going to have to throw a little bit, as much as I like Henry here. And I think Tannehill coughs one up. I really do. Bills are just, secondary is amazing. The front's amazing. I just think they're going to put a lot of pressure on him, and I think he's going to cough one up. It could be, either down by, a touchdown or 2 late in the 4th, and he just has to go for some Hail Marys to a Julio or an A.J. Brown, and that's where he throws it. But I feel pretty good about Tannehill throwing a pick tonight. My favorite one, I've looked at all the fantasy scores, all pretty accurate. If you want to touch on like a Dawson Knox at 10, he's been fucking lights out. I totally get that. He's been amazing. Emmanuel Sanders been amazing too. The most obvious one to me by far, I think, is Stephon Diggs under 20. Now, I like Stephon Diggs. I think he's amazing. Absolutely just lights out receiver. I think he's matchup proof. I think he's quarterback proof. I think he's everything. That being said, it's tough. Nothing's had, to be fair, he hasn't really had to be quarterback proof. Kirk Cousins is not that bad, and obviously Josh Allen's a stud. But he hasn't cleared 20 once this year. The ball is getting spread around more. They're using both backs well. I just talked about Emmanuel Sanders and Dawson Knox having these monster years, especially in the red zone. And if we look at Diggs last year, even go by last year's metrics, he was only, I think 0.5 over this for an average for the entire year, and he had an absolutely monster year. He was like 0.3 behind Tyreek Hill in terms of finishing, and then it was just Devontae Adams ahead of him. He's an absolutely monster wide receiver, and he had a monster year last year, and this is still accurate for last year, but it's not last year. He is struggling a little bit more this year. I don't think it's necessarily him as much as, like I said, just a well-balanced offense, but I would not touch Stephon Diggs at 20, and I'd probably feel pretty good about going under, to be honest. But that's going to do it, guys. Like I said, not a ton to unpack here, but just to reiterate, I like the rushing yards of Allen. I like the rushing yards of Henry for the over of both. Receptions for Henry's interesting. Not sure what I want to do with that. I like Tannehill throwing a pick tonight. Just think game script. Just makes a lot of sense that he throws a pick tonight in most scenarios. And then Diggs under 20. So if you guys like the video, please like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell. If you sign up for Prizepicks, again, use code DGF. It helps us out. We got some MMA coming up. Obviously, more football all week long. And yeah, thanks, guys. Let's cash.